So then, law students, it's that time of year again where you end up taking your exams. Can't quite believe that I'm recording this message now. As far as I'm concerned, you've literally only just arrived at college and you can't possibly be time to take your exams, but apparently it is. So here are some tips about how you're going to do your best when you're actually sitting there in the exam hall. So you need to think about ways in which you're going to use your time wisely. You need to think about what is a useful use of your time in the exam and what is not a useful use of your time. You may be sitting there for an hour and a half to 2 hours, which on paper seems like an absolute lifetime. And you think, oh, how am I going to sit still for all that time? How am I not going to get up? But it will go before you know it, and you'll be begging for more time, or at least you should be if you've done your revision properly. So think about these useful and not so useful things to do in the actual exam. So a useful use of your time is to really read the paper properly and take some time to underline and circle key words. If we take, for example, an evaluation of delegated legislation, the difference between a question asking you to choose, discuss either the advantages or disadvantages, and a question that says discuss both the advantages and disadvantages, is 2 words difference but a completely different answer. So take the time. Also useful if you are feeling really panicked, really stressed, and you are struggling to focus your mind, take a few seconds and do some deep breaths to really calm yourself. Actively try and quieten your mind. Give your mind a moment to relax, just like you give your hand a moment or so to relax and stretch. And that should help you calm yourself. It is better to take 20-30 seconds out of the exam where you have stopped and you're trying to calm yourself rather than flap all the way through, stress out all the way through, and not be able to focus and not do your best. So not useful uses of your time is focusing on a negative outcome, thinking, what happens if I don't do so well in this exam? What happens if I don't get the marks that I want? What happens if I don't get into my chosen university? What happens if I don't answer this question properly? That's not a useful use of your time. If you want to put yourself through that after the exam, be my guest, but in the actual exam, it's pointless. Don't bother looking at anybody else. You might look around and see everybody else furiously scribbling the moment that they say you can start and scribbling furiously until the end. You've no idea what they're writing. They could be writing a load of old rubbish. They could be answering the wrong question. You really don't know. So don't bother because it's not useful. And the least useful thing you can do is thinking about what you could, should, would have done differently up until this point. Now, we all have things that we wish that we'd done differently, and that's just a fact of life. But this will be reduced significantly if you go into that exam hall knowing you have done all of the revision and you've done it to the best of your ability. It'll be much easier just to focus on the exam rather than thinking about what you should have done if you know you've done yourself justice with the amount of work that you've done. And Joseph Chamberlain students, just a bit of context for you. AS students, most of your exams are next week. And most of them are within that week. You will then have 3 weeks until you come back for your final 2 weeks of lessons. So you'll have 3 weeks off, 2 weeks on, and then you have somewhere in the region of 8 weeks after that before you come back in September. So that's 11 weeks holiday, people. So do you not think that it would be a useful trade-off to trade off the days coming up to the exams for those 11 weeks and have 11 weeks knowing that you've done your best and whatever comes out in that results slip will be the best you could have done? Have a think about it. The choice, as always, is yours, but that's what I would be doing. So the final thing that I can really say to you, what else can I say, is good luck. You've all come a massively long way, and you are all quite different people from the school children who came into my classroom on that first day. As always, we are always here to help, and we will continue to help you right up until the morning of the exam and past that. Please make sure you do your best, do the revision that you know you should be doing, go to bed early, get some rest, make sure that you get some exercise over the next few days, eat properly, and please, all-nighters don't work. So best of luck, and we will see you on the other side.